Regular meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees for April 14, 2015 order. Everybody stand and say
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
welcome everyone. First thing is the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions by fellow board members or staff?
I have one. Mark 7, tournament update.
Just let the record reflect it. Trustee Alino is excused. He had some knee surgery that he's recovering from.
Any other? The agenda will stand presented. First thing on the agenda is our Stark County Sheriff, George Meyer. Welcome.
Good evening, as usual.
It's good to see you. So,
Good to see you. I think the last time we had somebody report out on the annual report, and so I wanted to give the Board of Trustees an opportunity to look at that and come before you tonight to answer any questions you may have on the annual report or any questions you have with how we're operating, things we're doing and not doing, and your satisfaction, so that you can make the adjustment. I know I've talked to a few folks in the township, and everybody's really excited to get the speed buggy out, so get ready. We're starting already. People certainly want to try to get a handle on the traffic before it gets out of control. So we'll do that. One of the things that we've done in our office is we also purchased an additional speed buggy, our speed buggy, so hopefully we can complement each other when we are getting that out in the surrounding areas of the township, because sometimes that speed blends out outside of the township or starts before it gets in the township. So we'll try to utilize that resource to help each other out and slow down the traffic. I don't have the stats with me tonight regarding traffic crashes. I do know that we do have a reduction in crashes from last year, so that'd be probably a good place for me to start, if that's okay. I can tell you that we have a slight reduction for the same time period last year, from last year in the number of crashes and with injury crashes. So that's really good news. I will tell you that right now we're down a little bit on our traffic stops, but it certainly doesn't reflect in the number of crashes, so we're happy with that. We did have, this is the March report, we had 886 calls for service in March, and we had 78 crashes. Crashes with injury were down 31% for the same time period last year, so that's good to know. We had about 105 alarm calls, which is down slightly from last year, and we had 143 traffic stops for the month of March. It's probably a good thing to remind everybody that, and Joe knows this firsthand, the month of March came in like a lion and left like a lion. Didn't give us much of a break in there, so we really held on to winter, which probably would explain why we had a few less traffic stops than we did last year. So, again, we had 113 citations for the month. We had 16 bookings into the jail and 18 summons with their total 34 arrests. Go over the detectives' activity. Your detective is a very busy guy here in the township. He's been following up on about 18 investigations. And, we've been giving him a little bit of help on the office side to make sure that he can keep up with some of these. He closed 3 felony theft cases. He's investigating, he had 1 new sex offense case, burglary case, drug complaint, and an assistance to another agency. So We've been keeping pretty busy with some of that. You know, we look at our calls for service over the first quarter here, and we see in January, our calls for service were down a little bit. In February, we had a bit of a spike. They were up, actually quite a bit over the previous 2 years in February. And then we leveled back out in March. We had a little bit of change, not a great change in March from the previous 2 years. So we're running pretty much the same. And I know when I last met with you, I was able to share with you some vision for the township and as it relates to your policing services and investigative services through our detective. And I can tell you that at that time we kind of give you a 3-year picture of where the crime stats are in the township. And so we're still continuing to stay on that trend, and we can kind of continue to share that. And I know we're going to meet again and talk about what initiatives we can work on together to improve that. So we'll do that. One of the things I wanted to mention is, and I think it's probably a good time to point out, we have Lieutenant Springer back here. He's got an office next door, so all these folks here stop over and say hi to Lieutenant Springer. He's our senior supervisor assigned to the township, and I know he's been a benefit to the township already, just in the short time that he's been here, and he'll continue to do that. One of the things he had done was he asked one of our deputies who works with the engineer's office to come up with a new map, and we have those available, and he has some, I think, back there, and we can share these with your zoning folks. But this is really the most up-to-date map for the township, and so all our deputies have this. And our next step will probably be to make sure that we have this electronically in our MDTs, mobile data terminals in our cars as we continue to stand those up. So the deputies can find where they need to go in a quick fashion and get there to provide the service that they're responding to. So we'll have those available for our questions. Also tonight, I have with me Chief John Campbell. John has been with us about 2 months now. He's our new chief deputy. We've been vacant of a chief deputy since about 2012. Been a little busy over there, so we got John on board. John has about a little over 25 years of service in law enforcement. He was formerly a deputy, started his career in Carroll County as a deputy, went to Wayne County, then went to the state of Ohio for the Ohio Investigative Unit. Retired from the Ohio Investigative Unit late last year as a deputy director in charge of all investigative operations in northern Ohio. So he brings to the office a wealth of experience and knowledge to share and to continue to mentor our deputies to provide for a safer Plain Township and a safer Stark County. So we're glad to have John on board, and you'll be seeing John in and out from time to time, and if you need anything, he's certainly at your disposal.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to the township. Honestly, I think from the reporting aspect, I think as alluded to in some prior discussions, I mean, the reporting and the benchmarking have been a significant improvement over the last two years since essentially you've been able to get your hands on it working with the team. So it's nice to be able to visualize that, and it's a lot easier to communicate that with our residents. I think the only thing really within the report that I think we still need to continue to focus on, we've done a great job collectively between both parties, is really just on our fleet, continuing to get that updated, and maybe some of those last few vehicles that have extremely high mileage cycled out, and I think there's that plan in place. So as long as we continue to execute it, if there's any options that may allow us to expedite that at some point.
And I think the township's done an excellent job on trying to expedite that. I know we worked with you, and actually you got a little bit ahead of schedule from what we originally had discussed in cars, and we're building, actually, I was over in the garage just the other day, and if you ever want to see something, they build this car at the factory, and then you bring it to our garage and we take it apart again. I mean, we really do. We have to disassemble the complete interior to get these things done right professionally, so that we don't burn your car up in the process. So we, you know, we go through a complete process. I think it takes about 40 or 45 hours or so to build a complete car to do it right, and so we're doing that. I know that you guys have been on the cutting edge and helping us with, we want to get our deputies equipped with body cameras. It seems to be, you know, an effort across the country, and we certainly were the first ones here in the county to step forward and said, this is something we want to do. And right now, we're on a waiting list to get those. We've already ordered them, so we should have those coming in. And we're excited about that opportunity as well. You know, we're only as good as the training and the equipment that we have to provide to the township. So we appreciate your support in that effort to try to get the vehicles up to where they need to be, and we're getting there. Thank you for your help with that good effort.
I think the last report, just that identifying who the deputies are within the townships, even though it seems probably small to some, it's a significant.
Well, you know, we have some new folks and people. What happens with the deputies, as part of their labor agreement, they can transfer out and what we call bid on different positions. And so oftentimes there's a little bit of movement. Somebody may move for a preferred shift. So that changes. And I know Lieutenant Springer's challenge with making sure that we keep the township up to speed. We want to continue to do that. We want to make that available to you. We certainly want the community aspect of our policing to be engaged here in the township, and that the folks here that live and work in the community, work in the township, know who the deputies are.
And we appreciate, especially on that day-to-day contact, of having that commitment from you, of having Lieutenant Springer here and also Detective Koenig. It has made a huge impact, I think, for our residents and ourselves and our department heads. I think there's, you know, we have contact, we have communications, we discuss things daily, and it's been a huge positive to have that commitment.
That's
for
great
you
to
to
know.
have
You know,
them
one of
here.
the things that when we talked about this, this posture, when we first talked about this, the nice thing is that the township residents know this is the township hall, or the government center. And so it's really nice that when people can come here during business hours to the government center for information, they can usually have contact with the deputy or with the lieutenant to resolve any issues. So it's nice to have them here.
Sheriff, just one quick question too, because for those that don't know, maybe in the audience, the sheriff explained we do have an office here in this building now that's the sheriff's office. That has Lieutenant Springer there during business hours, but the office we opened up in Avondale, how's the utilization of that office been? Because we have another office on the other side of the township on our fire stations too.
I think we're using it. I'd have to defer to Lieutenant Springer on that, but I think we have been using that office over there.
Occasionally, the officers will meet a resident out at that location. However, most of the calls, majority of the calls they field from the residents, they prefer the officers to come to the resident's house. So it's maybe not being utilized as much as we would hope, but it's certainly nice to be able to have that option if we need a little more privacy or something of that nature to have them available.
That's perfect. I'll tell you what, Sheriff, the things have improved so much.
Well, we encourage the deputies to stop into that satellite office so that the residents in that area can see them there, can see their car there, and feel welcome to at least approach them. You know, that's the idea behind having, part of the idea behind having somebody here as well. You know, it's just that much easier for the resident to stop in here. This is their government center, rather than drive over to the sheriff's office over on 62. And again, it's not that far out of the way, it's not that far away, but there is a convenience of being able to come right to the government center right here and being able to take care of business.
Question for you in regard to our webpage. Because our website has our own individual departments, and we list the sheriff as a department of the townships. How do you feel about some of the information Lieutenant Springer gave to us at our last meeting, where it showed who the deputies were, so the residents, they can identify with who those people are? I know they switch out from time to time.
Sure.
But maybe expanding that part of our page to put more information about the sheriff's office. And
we had talked about that, and I think that's something that we are interested in doing, and interested in keeping, like, getting these stats up there available on the webpage, maybe some type of blotter up there when we make a significant arrest in the township that's of interest to township residents. We can post that there.
Yeah,
so that
the
people
sheriff
can
and
see
I
it.
have had a pretty recent conversation about that, about redesigning that webpage. So we have some good ideas. I've also been working with Lieutenant Springer. We just need to sit down with all of us, put those ideas to paper, and really redesign that webpage.
That's one of the reasons why I asked, if we put their names on it, does that pose any type of security issue for the deputies?
I don't think so. The information's public record anyhow, but we can talk through that and see. I'll talk to Lieutenant Springer and see what his preference is on that. But, I can tell you that, we utilize our Facebook page from the sheriff's office. We have about 10,000 followers right now, and it's really worked out well for us this past winter. As everyone knows, this is a pretty tough winter. Actually, the last 2 winters have been pretty tough here in Starr County, and we were able to utilize that to notify residents of the parking ban, those types of things. Recently, I think we put something on there. There was a road closure for some maintenance work that we were able to post that information that affected township residents. So we continue to utilize that as well. Social media is, there's a generational thing, quite frankly, that a lot of people will follow social media to get their information before they're going to give it somewhere else. So we're seeing some of that. We're trying to get that out, and we share some of the information that we share with the other medias on our social media. Well, again, it's always great to be here in the township. I hope things are working well. I think they are. I'm not getting any negative reports back from my staff, so apparently things are going well, and we really want to continue to work on our relationship to provide for a safe community here in Plain Township, and I think that's something that we're going to be able to do.
Well, things haven't been going well, they've been going fantastic. So, you guys have been doing a great job.
And we'll make sure that everybody gets these maps. If you need more, we'll get some.
Well, that'd be great. I know our highway superintendent and probably our fire department would like those too.
Yeah, it's possible I'll get some Friday from the engineer's office. They have no meetings Friday. We might have some.
Is it Friday or Saturday?
It's Friday and Saturday.
Friday
Friday's
for
the
road
department.
superintendents and Saturday for
Elected.
For the, for the engineer.
Great. One of the connections we have with the engineer's office, which is of a benefit to the township, is that we have a deputy that's assigned to the engineer's office. And one of the things they do is they actually go out and enforce some of the bridge laws, the weight limits on the township roads and county roads. And so, they become very well learned and skilled in that regard. And so we have Deputy Quentin Robinson that works very closely with them, so that when we get into things that we've experienced in the past, where maybe a commercial load coming through or something of that nature, we're able to assist the township in that regard and make sure that we're protecting our roadways and doing it safely.
Well, I'm looking forward to sitting down with you and working out how we can expand it, make it even better.
Very good.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you for being here.
Nice to meet you and welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. At this time, does anybody in the audience have any questions or concerns they would like to bring to the sheriff's representatives or present tonight, or the sheriff himself?
I see we have a Girl Scouts with us tonight. I hope they didn't bring any cookies, because I can't resist the cookies.
It's a perfect opportunity to sell them.
Girls go mark the doors, don't let anybody out.
That's where the rest of the troop is.
If,
Well, thank you. We appreciate the Girl Scouts being here.
and if any of you want to go over after the meeting and when you think we're finished, to view the sheriff's area over there, you can. Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to close the sheriff's report. We're going to go to Rob, and then we're going to defer a little bit here, have Rob introduce them, because that's...
These young ladies are here tonight for some recognition. I'd like you all to stand up if you don't mind.
This is a local Girl Scout troop that has given an abundance of service to our community. They're here tonight because I got a call from their troop leader who let us know that these girls would like to donate a bench and a tree in honor of their troop, which is moving on to different, bigger and better things, aren't we, ladies? To our Schneider Community Park. And we're going to do a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we'll invite our press out because we'll have another bench to go for the Historical Society as well. But these young ladies have given of themselves and service to this community at large, and they continue to give in their final hours as a official group. So I wanted time to recognize the troop. Girls, can you give your names for us, please, so we can at least say thank you?
I'm Haley.
I'm Katie.
I'm Lauren. I'm Brooke. I'm Julia.
I'm Alexa.
Ladies, thank you very much for all you've
Thank
done. Thanks, guys.
That's really fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, we will now go to the detective report.
Sheriff already took care of that.
You get a reprieve tonight.
Okay, we'll go to unfinished business.
Thank you. Item number 1 is to amend resolution number 15-086.
I will so move on unfinished business number 1.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Okay, item number 2 is in regards to 2928 Mount Pleasant. I just wanted to give the board an update there that I sent a letter to Mr. Terry Beal, and then I also had a follow-up phone call with him to discuss further what was happening at the property there. That was the one that the board had passed the resolution for the demolition. Terry is in the final stages of the purchasing of that home. It has gone through, it's been a little more difficult than a normal purchase, as we're aware. So he is through the final stages there. He and I are communicating in a manner that I feel comfortable with. So I'm comfortable giving him more time because his plans are then to demolish that property himself, which would save the township money. So more of an update for the board. And then that's the end of unfinished business.
Okay, we'll go to new business.
New business, I'd like to turn over to Mr. Iacino.
Yes, we received a communications from Canton Country Day School requesting to host a 5K run on May 31st. It should be done through the area, the Avondale area. Below is a map. I drove the area earlier this week. There were a lot of intersections, so I got with Lieutenant Springer. We haven't made any decisions yet. We were wondering what the board's feelings are on another closure of live streets.
What day is the 31st of May? The Saturday or Sunday?
You said May 31st? That's a Sunday.
Yeah, that brings up one cause for concern. Because of people trying to get in and out to go to church. What time is the race they were closing?
I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, Mr. Gevasis.
And I think the next step that we should contact the Avondale Owners Association to get their feelings on this too. They should be brought into this at the beginning because that's going to affect them. More so, it doesn't look like there are going to be any issues out on Fulton Road or anything this time, but there's a lot of intersections back there that are going to have to be closed off for big sections.
Yeah, it's mainly through neighborhoods. The main road running through the race would be Westmoreland. But there are also many streets that run north and south that will be crossing. We'll probably have to close the Fulton Road traffic coming down that way.
I'll pressure the homeowners association over
We're
there.
going to do that?
Yeah.
And I'll call the representative of Country Day School to get a time on it.
Yeah, because depending on the time of the day, that could make it extremely difficult for those people to go to church on Sunday morning. And I know the last time we had one in that area, it was very contentious.
You know, we've had enough of these at this point. We may want to consider putting together a policy for it, where we can spell out the conditions under which we'll permit them, at least, you know, on our watch, there are safety services and whatnot. We might want to consider.
Well, just judging by the ride map I'm looking at, there's areas that are boxed in. And, you know, that's one thing that you want to avoid. You want to make sure somebody's going to have at least an out, way out.
And I think Eric brings up a good idea, because if you have a written policy that mentions what needs to be opened, egress and ingress, time of a race, given, you know, if it's on a Sunday, all of those things, payments that will have to be made, you know, for utilization of services. People may pick that up and think, I didn't know this was so involved. I didn't know we were gonna have to pay for road and fire to even be out there. They may think twice before putting a race together and even making an ask. So maybe it is time.
That part.
Yeah, but maybe it is time to put something together that says what you need to know before you plan a race.
So if you want to take the lead on that, great suggestion.
I'm happy to put together a draft policy for you to look at.
And I think, you know, we'll kind of do it as a team, because you'll have to know what road needs, what fire
Yeah.
needs.
I know at least 2 people up here are race experienced that can help.
We have a marathon on the 26th of this month.
You know, I'll be running part of this now, the track.
Marathon, the Hall of Fame marathon is the 26th of April.
Yeah. I'll come.
We have far less.
I'm gonna come root on Scott.
I'm gonna need it. I'll be sucking in like horse face, you put out a pad. What about Anthony?
I'll root on Anthony then.
Or twice as far.
He's running the full.
You're running the full one.
Oh, wow. For you.
I admire both. It just makes me tired.
Yeah, here he's running.
I'll be in the wheelchair portion.
Okay. So I think the first step we'll do is contact the homeowners association.
I'll make sure that's taken care of this week. Can you email to me a copy of that, because I'm sure
Yeah.
I want to get that into their hands just as a point of reference.
Okay. All right, let's go to the fiscal officer report, Mr. Flex.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item on the agenda is a request for a resolution to authorize the payment of the pending warrants in the amount of $271,281.70.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Second item is a request for a resolution to authorize the payroll in an amount not to exceed $220,000.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a request for a resolution to authorize the payment for the following medical claims as provided by Allcare.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report.
Any questions? Okay. Anybody has any questions, give them to Mr. Flex.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for a resolution to renew the Section 125 premium only claims for the health insurance.
I will so move.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for a resolution to authorize transfers.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request for a resolution that will set up a hearing for a lighting district on Tuesday, May 26, 2015 at 6:15.
So moved.
Second, discussion, hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 8, that's the request for a new liquor permit. Looks like the ownership changed over there.
Changed a couple months, just a couple months back.
Back in December. I believe that one was a transfer. This one's a new liquor permit. I know this is the area, obviously, where there's been, you had to vote for establishing it was dry. That was done previously. This is basically whether or not we have an objection to
I think they've been pretty good business to the township. We really haven't had
No.
any issues with the prior owner.
No, and I believe they checked with the
We
sheriff's
always check
office.
with the
and they had no
sheriff's office
concerns.
and there weren't any issues.
So if the board's okay, I can send it on without a request for a hearing.
They do a nice job over there.
And that will conclude the fiscal officer's report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Flex. Administrator's report, Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to amend the drug and alcohol policy attached herewith.
I will so move.
Second, any discussion?
Yes, I just want to point out to the board, the big change is that now the drug and alcohol policy, we've added random testing to all employees. It's quarterly testing. At least 25% of our total workforce will be, will have unannounced testing throughout the calendar year quarterly. And all employees have gone through training in regards to this. We've also added some additional drugs that will be tested for. One is for prescription drugs, not meaning that you can't be on a prescription drug, but it tests the level that you're at, and if you're taking more of what you should be, then you would test positive. But really the big change is that all of our employees will now be tested randomly. The whole process and procedure of how that works is in here. That takes us to, I believe, a level 1 with the Bureau of Workers' Comp. So it really is a good policy for all of our employers or all of our employees.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 2 is an update letting everybody know that they should have received their wellness participation documentation that is due by December 31st of this year. And everybody should have received that via email. I'm starting to get some of those back, but this is an annual part of our healthcare program.
It's the checkup part.
The checkup and the whether you use tobacco or not. And then item number 3 is notification that Plain Township will be the host of the May 21st, 2015 Stark County Township Association, which will be at the Central Fire Station, sponsored by Eric Williams of Polini, Campbell, and Williams. And the topic will be how to use the Lucas machines as a life-saving technique, and there'll be hands-on demonstrations, and then also information of particular situations that they've used those Lucas machines to save lives. So it should be a very good evening. And that's the end of the administrative report.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. And thank you for coming tonight and
Yes, my pleasure.
your sore situation, extremely sore. We'll go to the fire department report. Chief Schellenberger.
Mr. Trustee, the first item is for our monthly report for your review.
This is going back up.
Chuck, just a quick question on the mutual aid received.
Okay.
Greentown, when you take a look at what's been given as compared to what's been received, has there been like an influx of activity in our northern portion of the township that drove that?
The Inner Whitewood is a new nursing skilled facility.
Okay.
So it's right there at the corner of the township, so Greentown has been increased because of that. You know, there's more calls at that facility.
Do you know if they've raised any concerns with us just about that increase in volume? No, the reason I'm asking is because we as a board raised the issue with can't, city of can't.
Those are all
we don't wanna be
first responder calls. They don't transport for us there or anything. And actually, we're working on, if our closest medic unit is in service, we would not have them respond. You know, if we're bringing someone from a farther distance away, then have Greentown go. Right now, our system is automatic. They go on any call, and that whole district, Cleveland Avenue North, you know, Orient, Pittsburgh, that kind of area. So we're trying to kind of work back and forth with them here. They've added on that facility, they're adding on to it again, so they're, you know, the call volume will increase there.
Here's your question is, you know, City of North Canton's not showing any given or any received. Are they utilizing Jackson more, or what?
Well, there's you know, we only use them on structure fires for a working company, and if we would be short an ambulance or something like that, but they don't, you know, same way back and forth with us. I mean, if the call's not on like this side of Cleveland Avenue or Main Street, they usually, the other side's Jackson, this side's, you know, Lane, so.
I mean, it's 3 months in a row, it's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's only usually structure fires that they call us back and forth, so.
Okay.
Item number 2 is replacement of our dorm furnace at Station 2, installation and purchase from C.R. Kurtz Company, not to exceed $3,000.
I will so move.
Second, discussion. How old was that furnace?
That's the original furnace.
Really?
Yeah, so it's 1983.
So 32 years old, we've got more than our use out of it.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore. Any further discussion or roll call?
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Number 3?
Okay, number 3 is hiring of Scott Kelly for fire inspector position. To be hired as of April 27th and serving a 12-month probationary period.
I will so move.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Only thing is pass on to Mr. Kelly. Welcome. We're happy to have him. And I did call the city and talk to some people. And comes with some very high marks.
Yeah, he has quite a bit of credentials to bring to it.
So he's going to be a big asset for us. Okay, no further discussion, please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Number 4 is the hiring of 3 new firefighter paramedics to be sent for their physical. Upon completion, they would be offered a position of employment.
I will so move on fire number 4.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Chief, just to explain for the sake of the general public, I mean, essentially this is where a couple months back, the board approved to start testing to develop a list to look at potential replacements as we have folks retiring, but as well for additional needs based upon the call volume that's continuing to increase due to the development of the township, whether it's commercially or residentially.
Yeah, we went through a, you know, with the board's approval, we went to make an eligibility list. The 3 candidates were the top scorers. This will increase our shift, 1 per shift. They work 24-hour shifts, so we'll have 1 more person per day. And to help with our call volume, add another medic unit at the main station to be able to respond out of there. And, you know, as the township grows, you know, we have, you know, more and more calls each month, especially for EMS calls, so.
Tom? Roll call, please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item 5 is the purchase of a new 2015 ambulance from B Fund Superior Sales. According to state term pricing, not to exceed $237,683, taken from EMS fund.
I will so move.
Second discussion?
Just to clarify, will this match the prior unit that was?
They're identical.
Okay.
So it will be identical. The engine, they changed a couple things from International in the last 6 months, so, but other than that, they're exactly the same.
Further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. Let's go to the road report. Mr. Racina?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report for March. A little patch.
Notice there's no snow.
How old would be Joe when it comes to patching? Are we at a point where
We're caught up as of today.
pretty level off? So with the plants probably getting closer to transitioning to hot mix will be.
They start producing this week, so
Okay.
Monday, they start producing both plants that we use.
So we won't be paying twice the price away.
Definitely come down.
Okay.
Question, Harrisburg, from the post office to 62, is that ours?
Stark County.
That's Stark County, that's what I thought. And how about Spangler?
Spangler
From the railroad tracks
Harrisburg
to
to
here.
Maple is Kansas City's maintenance. We have a written agreement with them. They took 30th Street, Spangler, we take Spangler west of Maple, and some other streets that we're doing some of theirs to try to keep our maintenance getting closer, so.
I get a couple phone calls because I directed them for Harrisburg to the county. But I told them tonight I would bring it up, but Spangler's got some big holes.
Yeah, I'll be meeting with the new road superintendent from the city. He contacted me, wants to meet this week, so we're still trying to work out a date by the end of the week.
It's from Harrisburg to the railroad track. It'll be bad shape. Okay. Go to number 2.
Item number 2 is actually it's a resolution to put into place a mailbox damage complaint replacement policy that we've never had. Earlier in the year, the board asked me to look this over, and I got policies from the surrounding communities, kind of put them together. You can look at the one that we think works. I've got with Mrs. Campbell, and we kind of think this one works the best, but anything can be tweaked as the board.
Lisa, do you want to speak to any of this?
Just make sure this is one we've had conversation with phone as well.
I can give you the cost over this past winter between materials and labor. We spent about $8,500 repairing mailboxes. And 80% of those mailboxes were
Rotted out.
snow, and 70% were probably
Rotted out.
rotted out. So we very rarely hit a mailbox with the plow itself.
And that's what this
This kind of spells
policy
that out.
speaks to. First, it talks about a properly installed mailbox and being as far back as it should be, but that how you need to make the request, and that the damaged mailbox needs to be able to be inspected, and
The mailbox and the post.
the mailbox and the post. And what I'd like to also is, many people have decorative or expensive mailboxes, and certainly the township permits those, but they're not required by the township. And if there's damage by our plow truck only, it's limited to repair of the existing mailbox or replacement with a generic mailbox or as close to the existing mailbox. But regardless, our responsibility won't exceed $75. Because somebody may have a $500 mailbox, but certainly,
And we have those,
and we do have those.
Which is just
which
crazy.
I don't understand why, but we do have them.
Right. But really, this puts the responsibility is that it's gotta be hit by our plow, because snow happens, you know? And a lot of times, these mailboxes go down because it talks about plastic mailboxes. Those tend to shatter because of the weather and the cold. But, you know, a sturdy mailbox should be able to withstand, and a sturdy post should be able to withstand the weight of the snow. So really, it's only negligent, and will only replace if our plow driver actually hits it,
I mean, the full cost of the replacement.
up to $75.
$75, so I think that was concerned.
Even if our plow physically hits it?
Even if our plow hits it.
We have to set a price limit because I brought, you know, a couple hundred, 250, 300 mailboxes to the board before. And like I said, it's a very small percentage that we actually get one. You know, we get blamed for private contractors doing driveways, they hit them and they try to blame them on us, you know. We're easy to target, I guess. And it's hard to, you know, to say that we did or we didn't, but you can tell when mailbox is actually hit with 11-foot plow.
Oh, yeah, it's splintered.
Yeah.
If the board wants to mull this over, I mean, that's fine. It's something that we've
Honestly, I'm more than,
We're looking at
I'm more than
this whole
comfortable with
winter,
it, just
so.
seeing it look.
But a properly installed mailbox that's maintained should withstand regular, our snow plow operations. It's when our plow would hit a mailbox, which
Exactly.
rarely,
It's very rare.
it's very rare that it happens. What happens is the weight of the snow that makes the mailbox break. And then if you look at the posts, they're rotting, or they're not in good shape, or
The plastic ones are bad.
plastic ones are bad, and it says that in this policy
You know,
too.
some of these newer allotments, all the mailboxes are the same, so if that's what they came in with originally, you know, from the developer, they're all plastic. We have a couple of those allotments that are all plastic. And they shatter from pulp, they shatter from anything.
Come on,
We don't like to move on that, or?
No.
Yeah.
I'll move on it.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
One extra thing, I've talked to Mrs. Campbell, and we're going to put it on our website page, this policy, and then our newsletter.
Yeah, and we'll put an article in the newsletter, not just, well, we can put the policy on there, but we'll do a nice article about, believe it or not, mailboxes, you know, about what we just talked about, plastic ones don't withstand the cold. We'll put together something very nice,
I think it should be done,
we'll do it in the fall.
I think something should be done, and again in the fall.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna be out there putting up new ones, buying expensive ones, they need to know before the summer,
Well, we
before
can-
they
we
do
can
that,
do-
before they spend $400.
Yesterday about a mailbox.
Yeah, well, we can-
We haven't been out for 5 weeks.
Yeah, we can do it in the summer, just talking about if you're replacing your mailbox, this is what you should be looking at.
And if it's damaged,
Or if it's damaged, and then in the
this is
fall, we'll
what
do a,
replacement.
because winter's too late.
Yeah, we'll get it out.
We'll get it out there.
All right. Roll call.
You there, Rick?
Yeah, you did that.
Okay, lost track there, apologize.
Item number 4 is the resolution to authorize the purchase and installation of a truck craft TC-101 steel dump bed from Terry's Truck and Trailer, not to exceed $3,899.
I will so move.
Second, discussion, roll call?
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to contract with Tuscoat LLC for the 2015 crack sealing program.
So moved.
Second, discussion,
Item number 4, I hope.
hearing none, roll call?
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to purchase culvert, catch basin frames, etc. from Marlboro Supply for this year's use for several repairs projects.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call?
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 6 is just informational. This Friday, April 17th, from 6 to 8, there will be an OBI checkpoint. The sheriff contacted us and wants us to work with them again on Hilton Dales, just east of Whipple, and then from 8 to 11 on Whipple, just south of Hills and Dales.
8 to 11.
We've done it there before.
Same places.
Both locations.
Same, two similar.
They're just switching the times of where they're going to be.
What's the times again, Joe?
6 to 8 on Hills and Dales, and 8 to 11 on Wood. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to zoning report, Mrs. Campbell.
Yes, item number 1 is the monthly report. And you'll see we're up almost $1,500 compared to last year. For the month, and then for the year, we're up about $33,000 compared to last year.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is that coincidence?
Hard work. And then item number 2, the the Plain Township Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing for zoning amendment 559 and zoning amendment 560 on April 8, 2015. So be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to set a public hearing for zoning amendment number 559 and 560 on April 28th at 6:15 at the Plain Township Hall, and to further instruct and authorize the Plain Township Fiscal Officer to prepare a published notice of the public hearing in the repository on Saturday, April 18th, 2015.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And that's the end of zoning.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. Go to the longest part of the agenda, Marks.
I'll be the quickest. Item number 1 is the monthly report, gentlemen.
Nice pictures.
Yes.
You took it, I read it.
Who's the bunny?
The bunny again this year was Miss Layla Hummel of Glen Oak High School. She has done a phenomenal job and just a great kid. In spite of some of the influences. Wow. Couldn't resist.
Yeah, good pictures.
With the picks, I'll go ahead and move on to item number 2, which is the Easter egg hunt recap. It was a beautifully sunny and critically frigid day, all at the same time. When you think the sun would heat you up in March, we were dead wrong. It was miserably cold and very windy, but we still had a very nice turnout. Glen Oak NHS was great to help us not only stuff the eggs, but lay the eggs out and help the kids get to where they needed to be. Our Stark County Sheriff's Office, again, free of charge to all residents, provided the CompuKids program. McDonald's, which is now on Easton, provided the snacks for the kids. as we told you, we had volunteers for the Easter Bunny, and I don't remember Melody's last name, but she's the one who actually helped take those pictures because I was a little busy. So I'd like to thank Melody, Brian for her help.
They're good pictures.
And for all who attended, it was wonderful. We had trustees and fiscal officers and township folks in attendance. It was great. Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment to Southway Fence Company for the reparations of the Diamond Community Park fence line.
I will so move.
Second, discussion.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 4 is to authorize the purchase of a Workman MDX Gator utility vehicle from Century Equipment. It will replace not one, but 2 vehicles that have been in service 12 and 15 years respectively.
I will so move.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 5A through C is a resolution to rehire A. Connor and B and C hire Stacy and Kelly for concessions for seasonal employment here with the Parks and Concessions Department.
Also move on 5A through C.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 6 is just a recommendation to accept the resignation of Terrence A. Nichols. He is a Parks employee of some time here. He got a new opportunity a little closer to home and with a little more time to be able to spend with his family. And he's been nothing but professional and hardworking and gave us the proper notice and was professional in doing so and has been committed throughout. So I just would like to thank him for his service and recommend that we accept his resignation and wish him well because he's been professional throughout. It's a bummer for us, but we're happy for him.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? On the board.
Well, he's doing better.
He will do. He's done very well and worked very hard. And finally, and as promised, I'll get through this very quickly, just a football tournament update. We have received check and signed contract from National Underclassmen Sports out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. They will be here November 11th through 15th. And just one caveat, in consulting Mr. Williams, our legal counsel, we felt it best not to get into any discussions or negotiations with revenue sharing as it regards to some of the registration fees at this time until Eric and I have the time to sit down and come up with a policy that would be suitable for all.
Okay.
I'll drop the mic at that point. We're done.
Nice job. Let's go to communication. Mrs. Campbell.
Yes, I have one communication, and it is from the Pembroke Homeowners Association to Paul Burke. It says, Dear Paul, on behalf of the Pembroke Homeowners Association Board of Trustees, all of the neighbors in Pembroke, we want to thank you and your staff for doing an excellent job of keeping our streets clean this winter. We also appreciate your help to us with locations for new street signposts and entrance light program we completed in 2014. The board will be discussing a curb replacement program for 2015. I will have plans by early summer and will contact you to discuss. Thanks again, Paul. Sincerely, John T. Ingleson. Very nice.
Very nice.
That's the end of communications.
Thank you. Okay, we're now at the portion of our agenda for public speaks. If anybody wishes to address the board, you may do so at this time. We only ask that you give your name and address clearly for the fiscal officer. And if you are going to speak before you leave, please sign in the sign-in sheet in the back with your full name and address so we can reflect it accurately in the record. Yes, sir.
My name's Jeff Simmons, I live at 716 Grove Street. I wanted to get on record a complaint about the traffic from the McDonald's ago, earlier this year. I just, we understand that the BZA, that's a separate channel, so I don't want to take a lot of time, but we'll file a complaint through the BZA as well, but it's just, the traffic is just horrendous. I mean, it's worse than what I thought. I pick up McDonald's trash out of my front yard daily. The sound, I can hear the speaker in my house. If my windows are open, I can hear the drive-through speaker. So, I just want to make sure that, having a record that it is an issue. I don't know if anybody here can come up with a solution to help the situation. I do have a question. I don't know if maybe Eric or Joe could, I don't know if the township has the authority to put like a speed bump. Can we get some speed bumps to try to calm the traffic? Or I know that, I think it's the Ohio Revised Code states that the township has the authority to make improvements. I don't know if that would fall under improvements.
Speed bumps are a tough one. We've looked at those a lot of different places.
I'm sure.
The biggest issue for us with speed bumps is it honestly creates some liability issues. You know, you can imagine what we're going to see after we put speed bumps. I had my car bottomed out, I busted a wheel, I did that, you know, those kinds of things.
Right.
Speed bumps are something we've stayed as far away from as we could because they typically don't work to control what we're trying to control. I understand certainly that the speed would be probably reduced a lot of the time, but they won't help your congestion issue and where people go and what they can do on the road is the same.
Right.
But is there a good place for us to put our speed buggy?
Which direction is speeding seem to be the worst?
It actually comes out of the entrance exit on Grove, and then it goes straight up Grove Street.
So it's heading east, not
Yeah,
the market.
and there's a stop sign coming the other way from Beverly, and I don't know if we're able to put a stop sign there, if that'll help. Unfortunately, they don't always stop on Beverly, so I don't know that a stop sign would help, but it's just bad. I got two girls, and it's, you know, I don't know what a good solution is now. I mean, obviously there's that other side of things, but I thought I'd come here today to just try to talk about solutions.
I'll give a Lieutenant Springer, but we can put our speed buddy out there to try to get a pulse on when it's the worst.
And that'll also give us a count of cars too.
It counts cars and it gets, you know, times of days and speed, so, you know, we could let it sit out there for 3 or 4 days and get the best time.
Well, and the other thing regarding littering, Lieutenant Springer, is there a way for us to get the sheriff's litter, you know, the litter patrol vehicle through there at all, or?
As far as inmate workers that come
Yeah.
and pick up, we can look at that.
Okay,
Maybe outside the grant with ODOT.
okay,
We'll see what we can do.
okay.
I'm trying to be conscious of not using up resources to call the sheriff every time there's litter or every time, throwing tomatoes at the house and all that, but I'm trying to,
Protect your interest.
pardon?
Protect your interest.
Is your house behind the fence?
No, he's across,
No,
he's
I-
across the street,
I-
he's almost, he'd be like caddy corner, here's the back corner of the building, I mean, it's,
I'm trying to be conscious of the resources of the township as well, because it's, you know, if the sheriff's out taking a report on litter in my yard, they may be not helping somebody that, you know, so we're trying to be, I'm trying to be conscious of using resources, but at the same time, there's gotta be, we have to be able to come up with a solution, because I've been here long enough in the township that
Right.
Joe, how much would it cost to install those islands, that the physical right turn in, right turn out islands, like it's at Walgreens in those driveways?
I never.
Yeah, those would be on private
But that would be on private property, that wouldn't be on our roadways, so. I've never really priced them because we don't have any roads that would have that.
if cost is an issue, I'd be willing to donate to the township to help cover costs.
It's a private
It's a private property issue. You gotta have everyone
Right.
live there. And that's what 6 years ago.
Let me ask you this, as far as improvements to road, what if there was some kind of divider in the road, like in front of, say, like Sam's Club, on Portage, where prevents a tremendous amount of traffic from turning left? It's almost like an island in the middle of the road.
Well, they have one at Walgreens across the street there on Market and Easton.
But then how do the semis that deliver to the whole plaza get in there to make their deliveries?
They'd have to get in off of Market Avenue.
How are they gonna navigate back to?
But how do they get through all the cars in the parking lot?
Well, they're supposed to be coming off of Market Avenue on Grove and not coming off of Beverly, turning down Grove to begin
Right, they
with.
come off of Market
There would be a
now,
left turn in anyhow.
and they come in, but they have to get in an entrance wide enough to turn left into McDonald's. Because those are pre-existing,
Right.
those two entrances and exits are pre-existing, and they always went in that second one to go straight back through, so then they'd exit off of Easton.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I know, that's my only question, because if you put an island in there, they have no way to get back to
You're correct.
to all the businesses.
And I understand where these residents are coming from, because I've sit there on several occasions and watched. And what happens when 3 or 4 cars back up at that stop sign on Market Avenue, I watched this semi-truck turn left and go through the neighborhood. And that wasn't occurring before.
No, I'm just asking the question, if you put that in that second entrance, somehow those to deliver to even like Samantha's and all of that, how do they get in there then?
There are other entrances on Market, correct?
It's just the one. But they can't navigate around it now because, you know, the way the buildings are, constructed and standing. The only way for the delivery trucks to get in is off of Market Avenue on Grove and turn left at that rear entrance and
At the
come
rear
in
entrance.
where the white fence is now.
And I think that's how
Go
they,
behind the McDonald's now.
yeah.
Is there any such, I mean, is there anything that can be removed when the semis have to come in and unload, and then the drivers could,
I don't know.
like a island something? Have y'all ever seen anything like that as far as
I think that'd be up to the plaza owner, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if it's on private property. I mean, I can get the county traffic engineer out there to see what's feasible for the roadway itself.
Yeah.
If that's what the board wants.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something that we can actually do on that roadway.
We've opened up
I know
the,
Mr. Simmons talking about up by Sam's Club.
Yeah.
They put the.
They got those
There's no
rubber
way to get,
reflectors.
right.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
from across the road.
Good idea.
You also have 5 lanes of traffic there too.
I think what we'll do is we'll look and see what we can, I mean, we're cognizant of what's going on with it. You know, and I check on it periodically just to see what's going on.
I appreciate that,
He does, because then he sends me texts and pictures and emails, so I promise you, he checks that probably a couple times a week.
We want to be part of the solution, whatever the solution we come up with. The neighborhood, I kind of speak for the neighborhood, we want to work together to come up with something that's going to be acceptable to everybody involved.
Depending on what that solution is, we can say that we can go back.
I think what we need to do is a solution. I think we need to try to go to McDonald's and approach them and see what they'd be willing to do with us, to find a solution. And, if not, we'll have to try to see what we can do, without them. But if they're going to be part of the neighborhood, you would hope that they want to cooperate now, that, they're there.
Well, historically, regardless of what the past has dictated, Mr. Locke's been a pretty good community partner in the township, whether it's through different township programming, to the schools programming and so forth. So it's not like this is a short-term guys in and you jet out. So you gotta believe there's something there.
Yeah, I think he would probably himself, now that he's in there, as the proprietor, I think he'd be willing to cooperate. I can't say what he would be willing or do at this point, but I think we have to approach him and see what we can do.
We've opened up the communication with the county engineering department, I don't know who exactly, but about closing the road off and allowing McDonald's to have their both their entrances, but actually make our street a dead-end road, which would prevent the traffic from entering into our neighborhood. Well, we know some challenges
We just went through a very difficult situation similar to that over there by Walmart, where the people were accessing a road to get, and using it to get to Walmart specifically.
Right.
And the commissioners were very reluctant to even consider that. And over there, you're closing off, you're not gonna give any access for emergency services.
That's one of the challenges that was brought up with the county, that would be one of the challenges.
That would be one of the huge challenges. I don't know how the commissioners would agree with that.
Let's do the ring around the last one there.
Because they would be, the Clark County Board of Commissioners would be the ones that would ultimately approve that on a recommendation from regional planning. And I could almost assure you regional planning is going to recommend against that. Because it's
Yeah, they did the
unique
last time.
situation.
They did against, yeah.
Is that something the township would be willing to entertain supporting if we take on that challenge?
We're here to do whatever you folks, if you get the signatures on the street and do it and present it to our, or we'd be willing to present it to them, yeah, and apply for it. I just, we can't give you a guarantee of what the outcome's like.
Understand, absolutely.
The only part of that, if we're actually vacating a piece, section of that roadway, it no longer gets maintenance by the township. So I'm sure McDonald's is gonna have to agree with that.
We
The
understand.
property goes in and out, and maybe the rest of the shopping center, I'm not sure. Once
Well, the
it's
property
vacated,
owners on
it
both
actually becomes
sides.
a driveway once it's
Yeah, the
vacated.
property owners on both sides take responsibility for the roadway then.
And then you have to get Chief Snyder's okay, that he feels comfortable from a safety standard, and Joe's okay,
Sheriff.
the sheriff. Those would be some pretty big hoops, I think.
We're just looking for solutions, we're just trying to find solutions that's gonna make everybody happy.
So for the sake of Mr. Simmons' point here, what will be the follow-up? I know I think I've heard her say somebody at the
speed
county
bumps.
talk
I'll talk to
to.
Brian Cole, traffic engineer from the county. If there's
Okay.
anything with
The speed buggy.
We'll do the speed buggies, which will do a count of the traffic and the speeding.
Which will provide to the sheriff's office.
If I can, I'll get it out there tomorrow.
And then we'll see if we can come up with anything with littering. I don't
Do
know
we
if
have any
that's
old
an option or
recent,
not.
in the last year or two, on the traffic counts? We haven't done traffic counts on that road
On that
before.
road, no, actually, we've done some on Beverly.
Yeah.
That we can
We had
gauge it to see what
requests for it,
increases.
and there wasn't enough traffic really on Beverly, but now that this is open, there might be a higher count. So.
Yeah, something that we can measure it against.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it does everything. The speed buggy, gives us a count, it gives us the time of day, and actually gives us the speed limits that are being broken, and then the sheriff department uses them to their advantage.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Cindy Mueller. I live at 708 Grove Street, which is the first house there, beside Jeff. I just want, something you just said about the speed thing that was there earlier, and you did the count, and it wasn't really, didn't tell you very much. Considering it was in the summertime, and I think it was over a weekend or a Friday and Saturday when school wasn't in, you wouldn't get a very accurate count at the time.
Are we talking about, I
The
know
one that was on Beverly.
the county had put some traffic
There was
things
one
out
there,
earlier.
yeah, when the whole McDonald's had started.
Right.
Because I don't have it, I think I have it at home somewhere when it was there. But, and talking about the traffic that has been on the road and the increase, on Sunday, I was waiting on my son to pick me up, so I just sat out front for 15 minutes and counted what was there. And I remember this is a neighborhood street, the kids ride their bikes on, and, you know, we never had any problem. There were 5 vehicles that left McDonald's in that 15-minute period and came up Grove, which McDonald's assured us was not going to happen because they were going to have it fixed up, that they had to make that turnout to market. Well, they haven't done anything like that. No arrows even saying that they can only go the one way. And there were 3 at that time that came down Grove and turned in McDonald's. And there was a weekday morning that I was walking down my driveway about 7:30. Our driveway's about 100 feet long. And in that time frame, I counted 5 vehicles that came down Grove, turned in McDonald's, and 2 came from McDonald's and went up. And considering that they're not supposed to be using our street as the ingress and egress from the east side, I mean, we know they come in off the market, but from the east side, we've even seen one of the sheriff cars do it. So I was like, okay, they're not even following what McDonald's said was going to happen. Let's see, another problem that I've noticed is cars pulling in the parking spaces that face Grove. The headlights at night shine into our backyard. So if you're trying to have a bonfire or something like that, or have your fire pit lit and you want to enjoy the stars, their headlights are shining in our backyard. Let's see, what else did I write down? The other thing, Jeff was talking about trash, and Sunday, I think it was Sunday, there was a person that came out of McDonald's and started dumping their trash all the way along the Four Seasons property. Their ice, then a paper wrapper, and then this, and then that, all the way along the property. It looked like they were doing it intentionally. I can't say that, but they were dropping it all along the way there, which, coming straight from McDonald's there, if they just purchased the food, they should have not even been ready to get rid of their stuff yet. I think that is all that I wanted to, one more thing. The thing that Jeff brought up about the safety of locking our road off, and I understand what you were all saying about the difficulty and stuff, but our allotment is unique in the fact that there are 3 entrances to it for safety vehicles. It's not like if we were dead end, nobody could get to us. Because really coming in off of Beverly, Morellis, and Woodcrest is probably more logical than trying to use Market the way Market is anymore for safety vehicles. So that was one thing I wanted to point out, that we do have the other 3 entrances, that could be taken into consideration if that would ever come up. So that is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My name is Melvin Gibson, 2900 Fairmount Street Northeast. And I got a
Say that name again from me. What's your first name again?
Melvin.
Melvin Gibson?
Yes. The neighborhood over there where I live, are there anything that the township can do to make these people keep their property values up? There's people in there owns houses, they rent them out, and they come in, tear them up, there's couches sitting all over the place, in the front yards.
What streets?
Pardon?
On what streets?
2900 Fairmont Street. It's on Fairmont, Maxine. Any street that you come up off the 25th Street north, you're going to run into, it looks like a slum hole. And I've lived there since '73, and just keeps it worse and worse. Property values down, can't get nothing out of them to move out. Anything you guys can do to make these people keep their property up?
As far as from a general nuisance aspect, literally if there's unlicensed, inoperable vehicles, trash, debris, grass
Couches out.
Yeah, if what grass is gonna be 6 or is it 8
8
inches?
inches.
8 inches or higher on 50% or greater of the property, we have some legal means to do that. I think our stretch with respect to the actual facilities, the residence, the home itself has to do with our property maintenance code, and I think as our law director will allude to, that's a tool that I think both Mr. Geovasis and I pushed for a couple of years back, but it's extremely difficult to get enforced through the courts, and it's a very lengthy process. So what that may be geared toward, I mean, when we've been approached in the past is, windows that have been kicked out, or gutters and spouting that's been hanging down to what we got with up off Rolling Ridge to a degree. The nuisance piece is relatively easy. typically through our zoning office. They would go out, perform an inspection. If it's determined to be, trash
I
or
just called
something,
them.
we would.
Did you call today?
Pardon?
What, did you just make a call today?
No, one today was a couple days ago. I called out here to the zoning board and asked them about this couch and garbage that's sitting out in front of the house where these people just moved out, cleaned the house out, set it all out on the road. Another family moved in there.
And the couch is gone now, right?
No,
Okay.
no, nobody's touched
It's a
nothing.
different area.
Oh.
We got a couch removed somewhere else.
Okay.
And when I called out here, they said nothing they can do about it because somebody moved into that property already.
Okay.
That shouldn't be the correct answer.
Right, and they told me to call the health department. It was their problem.
Okay.
Called out there, you can't get them 3 or 4 days, they come out, but that time come out everywhere. So, where do you go?
Can you do this? Can you give, if I give you my phone number, or do you want to give me your phone number, and I'll call you, and we'll go through, you'll let me know, and then I'll start the process to take care of it.
Well, the address on is 2905 Paramount Street.
Sounds to me, Lisa, like we need to get, I know you're, because of your next scroll.
That doesn't matter, I've still been
But we
getting,
maybe Rob, not that you have a.
no, I've got a process that we're working through, so we'll still get it handled.
Well, we need somebody to go out there and inspect it.
I know, and I've been staying on top of it, even though I'm in a wheelchair. We've got a process with Dave. Yeah. Was there any other properties that you gave them? Just that one to start?
You don't give specific properties up in that hood,
Right.
and people find out about it, then you know you have no property.
Just drive through,
Okay.
get the entire area.
All right.
We'll
We'll take care of this one.
Junkyards up in there, garbage dumps.
Next time you call the office, though, just ask for Lisa.
Okay. And tried to sell my house about 15 years ago. Told me I could only get $18,000 out of it. It was anywhere else, $100,000 because of that neighborhood. So,
Let's look at the entire area.
Yeah.
there's just a handful of people that's been there.
Is there a lot of vacant homes over there?
Quite a few of them. Some of them that's been burned out. People torn down, then there's one over there that's burned out. Somebody got it, I guess, redoing it. People moves in there because they move in there, they think they can do anything they want to do and get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get this property started. We'll do a drive-through, and then if there's any other specific, you just call and ask for Lisa, and I'll help you.
Well, if they come up off 25th Street up to Dorothy and keep their eyes open, they're gonna think they're running into Ailments.
I know where it's at.
Yeah, you and I have been out there before.
And people burning garbage out there every night. You open one, you gotta close it, people burning garbage. Now, who's doing it, I don't know.
Well, if they're burning things,
And
just
if
call.
you can get an address, if you have, an open burn, complaint, just call in and go out and check and see what it is. If it is actually garbage, we can, we cite them, and then the EPA comes out. I mean, we can find it, not the fire department itself, but EPA.
See, there again, if you give somebody a specific report, is the sheriff comes to your door, then people knows who made this report.
Yeah, but this will be the fire department, they won't come to your door.
Yeah, if
If
you
you
know
give
the
them the
address
address,
of the place,
they
you don't
just,
come
they
to
go
your
to the
house.
address.
Go to the, where the thinking's coming from.
I mean, I don't want my property tore up, and I ain't gonna stand for nobody tearing it
Lisa,
up.
with the painted, there's stuff that's burned up over there or burned out.
Yeah.
Let's find out what these addresses are.
I will.
Let's make the contact with the county and.
Yeah, Joe and I have worked together in these areas before, so I think Joe and I will work on this.
Well, they
He and I have
tore a
been back
couple
there.
of them down.
Yeah.
And then somebody bought one, they're redoing, I guess, was burned out. And there's another one vacant on Fairmont. Somebody said the township had it slated to be tore down, I don't know.
Last year we demoed about 20 to 25 properties through a program called through the Moving Ohio Forward grant. That fund's since gone, but I had previously sat on that board when it was originally developed through part of last year. And the land bank now actually has some alternative funding means which they've secured through working with other parties that may be available. It's just really dependent upon what are the parameters for being able to qualify for demo in
Well,
that
there's
situation.
the two houses across from me, somebody out of state owns them. And they rent them out, they come in, like that one with the couches. They come in, these people set that stuff out, clean their house out, get their money back. The guy that does the maintenance on them come in and change locks and was fooling with the lights or something on it. Said the family moved in right behind her. And this guy never done nothing to clean it up or nothing. Now, who's liable for it, I don't know. But I know it's getting monotonous.
We'll get them out here in the next couple of days.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir.
My name is Dean Moeller. I'm at 708 Grove Street. I'm her husband, live next to Jeff. I don't know which one of you said that you couldn't put signs up across the road because it was private property.
I don't remember talking about signs, we were talking about speed bumps.
Speed bumps and something about signs turning the right ways and stuff.
I don't remember talking about signs, but
But anyhow, if it was private property, how can McDonald's be driving in the culverts every day? You know, across the street where the ditches that you guys made the culvert, you know, the drain tile, they're driving down in the ditch every day when you bring deliveries in.
you say McDonald's is driving.
The delivery trucks.
Delivery, because they don't have enough, they come in, they always go up Grove Street, and some of them come in the first entrance, make the deliveries, they come out the top, and they don't have enough room, the trucks are too big, they drive down in the ditch, they got the ditch all broke down, the streets all broke down, and some of them come in the top and go around and come out the bottom. You just drive down through there, you can see the ditches all tore up, but they don't have enough room to turn. They always go down in the ditch. If that's private property, it's off the streets. How are you allowed to go down in there?
I'm not sure I ever talked about that area. I
But,
don't know what.
and also, I've been in this house for 40 years now. Most of you guys weren't even on the board back in Plain Township.
We might have been.
I don't know how we, anyhow, Plain Township went on our street and asked everybody if they would pay so much money, I don't know what the money was back in, to pave the street. It was chip and seal and bad. So everybody agreed to pay so much money to have the road blacktop. Plain Township said they would maintain it thereafter. Well, we've had bulldozers, 100 cement trucks running up and down the road. They go down Market, down Market and up the side with all their wheels down, you know, carry the weight. You got to our street, you raise all the wheels up, carrying all that weight down the street. The street is destroyed now because of cement trucks, bulldozers, semis. What do you have in your plan to repave our street that we had paid for, that you said you would maintain out of store?
We're out evaluating all the streets right now.
Now, if
40 years ago, I wasn't here either, but
You were here longer than me, Joe.
yeah, I am.
now you're telling on him.
But we do remember
That
Judge
street's
Steele
been
being
paved,
here.
that street's been paved probably 3 times over the last 40 years.
Well, now talk about
And
being
we're looking
paid.
at it now. We didn't want to do anything while the construction was going on there and then damage the new pavement.
We talked about being paid a couple times, yeah, because they tore the street up and they run the new sewer line down through there. Then they come back through and they paved the street real nice. The following year they come back, they dig the street back up again, tear it all up, but they just blacktop and run the water line down through there. Then they repave again. Now why they can't do everything at one time? They pave it, tear it up, pave it, tear it up, which don't make sense to me. But now it's bad again with all the cement trucks and everything else running up and down through. They're driving down through the ditches, they're driving down in the culverts.
We'll get out there and take a look at it, that's for sure.
But sir, as far as, I mean, just from a higher level, every year the road department does do an analysis of all the roads. In fact,
Joe's department has a running spreadsheet of every road in the township, the last time it was paved, even the type of paving that was, material that was done.
Now,
So to take into account.
it's bad from Beverly down because of all the stuff. Now, from there on up, I don't know how bad it really is, but that one block has really been abused with what they've been doing, you know.
So what, I mean, what we
Well,
have.
part of the problem is, we got twofold here. If you repave that street this year, and we're already speeding on it, you're gonna increase that speed. That's been proven. And if they got a certain surface to drive on, you're gonna get faster cars traveling on it. You could ask our sheriff's department, they're both back there shaking their heads right now. So, I mean, we got two problems here. I mean, the road is passable, it's not to the point where it's not passable. But if it gets paved, you're gonna get more speeding. I will promise you that. So.
Maybe our trustees could talk to the owner of the McDonald's to at least put the arrows on that, you know, that restricted right turn only, that show the right turn out only, at least if there were arrows.
They, in your blueprint that you got, the first entrance just showed it straight. The second entrance up by me, they were supposed to make a curve, you know, that they had to come in one way and curve to come back out, that you couldn't make a left turn. They wasted their time, because they do more right turns coming in, more left turns coming out with that angle. You might as well made it straight, because nobody abides by it. I mean, the trucks go that way. It's not enough of an angle. It's just a slight little bend, and they just drive wherever they want. And it was brought up that that angle is supposed to be curved. I live right across the street. I see everything that goes on. That's where the sheriffs are going in and out of, making the turn and coming out that on the one that's angled, going through the drive-through and coming back out.
Yeah, it's just not even angled enough to see that it's angled.
I don't believe Mr. Locke was involved in, that was a corporate project.
Yeah.
And he moved in after the fact.
Yeah.
Now that he's there, I believe that he'll work with us and you folks to try to.
And the noise hasn't been too bad, because it's been winter time. But now it's spring, we're starting to open windows up. I can hear every order that's going into McDonald's. Now, if you want to pay for my air conditioner, I'll leave the windows shut all summer so I don't have to listen to their noise. They've gone it out with. You're going to have to cut the noise down, or I'm not going to be able to open my windows up, especially if I want to sleep early in the morning. Or the worst time is breakfast. They have one heck of a breakfast here. Then it kind of tapers off. They have a big breakfast volume there. And all you do is hear them speakers, so I can't open the windows up with the noise. Unless you want to pay for my air conditioner and keep it cool in the house, I can run my air conditioner and leave it shut up so I don't hear them.
My name is Scott Leonard from 4410 Lesh Street, Louisville, Ohio. The first thing I want to do is I had a phone call from Lisa Campbell yesterday. I want to apologize for the fullest. I got just a phone call I wasn't expecting about a tent that's on my property. I've been maintaining the property for 10 years. I took care of my dad. He passed away. Verbally, it was given to me. Nobody in the family wants it but me. So we have an issue with 4400 and 4410 because it's my dad and my brother. They both separated property in 1992. And I got parcel numbers, all that, if you need all that. But so anyways, Jerry France had bought the house in 2011 for $25,500. Me and my ex, we was buying a land contract for $70,000. We had, in a total of 24 months, we had paid $37,700. Well, actually, $37,700 is what paid total from the time he purchased. So he's $300 short of $10,000 profit. So he found out me and her split up, so he took me. Now we go from another thing where he's done nothing but harass me. I have 4 Rottweilers out there on the property. That is the 4053, whatever it is. So anyways, now I'm having constant problems. I've dealt with the sheriff's department multiple times. I've had 6 cruisers in my car at a time, and in my driveway. They're saying that he has appeasements to the driveway he owns. So now my dogs are let loose repeatedly. Okay, so the other day, when we had that flash flood come through, I'm friends with the Humane Society of Town. They have to come in and rescue my dogs. They have a new fence put up right there. Lush Road, SRCC, Stark County Jail, that's all water zone, right? It's all water. He puts his fence up. We've had this house since 1985. So we're familiar. When it gets wet, it's ankle deep. This time, I got pictures of my dogs, it's chest deep on my dogs. Because when the water floods across like that fence worked as a dam. So now the Humane Society come out, they rescue my dogs, no problem, I get them back. But now I get phone calls from the Humane Society, there's an issue, my dogs let loose all the time. They're on tow chains, they're on 4x4 posts in the ground, big collars around their necks, the dogs are let loose repeatedly. He has called the health department on me, now he's called you guys upon me, over a tent, but my dogs are never mentioned. But my dogs are let loose nonstop. The Humane Society, everybody, they're highly aware there's an issue here. And I'm just trying to get something accomplished here. So now, he had made a comment before, he's going to take my property from me because it's not my name. Well, my whole entire Winter family owns that property. This guy goes through probate or myself, it don't matter. So he's trying to push me out. I had to stop him last night. If you guys come down my driveway, you'll see there's ruts, at least 18 inches high, coming down both sides of the driveway. They literally took my mailbox, said 4410 right on it, and he has moved it 1 inch. I got pictures of everything. 1 inch to his property line. See, now where I had called the township, when they said we've had that house for years, now he has mowed over far enough, at least, I'm going to say 60 to almost 80 feet into your guys' side of the, where the, what is that? The nature park that's right there. Okay, right across the street from the SRCC. So now when he's selling his property, now he's trying to sell my property, your guy's property, and his property all in one lump sum. And I'm just like frustrated because this guy, he's got tons of money, he's got 30, 40 houses, and I have nothing but my property, you know. So I'm here kind of irritated about that. And that's why he apologized to her because it's just like another bad phone call again, you know. So I don't know which way to go with this, but we have an issue. I've talked to the tax department, I've talked to the map department, I've talked to everybody, and they're like, the only thing you can do is do your own paralegal work. Well, my paralegal work isn't working or something, you know, because here I am in front of you guys now. So if anybody has some kind of advice, please let me know.
Well, here was the issue that the zoning office did get a phone call, and
Well, I got the complaint and made the phone call to the zoning office.
well, you weren't the only one.
Okay.
Okay. So if the property is cleaned up, you know, from the flash flood, and there was a lot of raining, so I get that. If the property is cleaned up, that's half the battle.
Right.
The other issue that we talked about on the phone is per our zoning regulation, and I have a letter here for you, per zoning regulations, you know, on a property, you can only live in a single family dwelling. But what you had explained to me was that occasionally you camp on that property. So you're not using it as
No.
a living arrangement.
No, like yesterday when you called, I had two of my friends, we were having a cookout then, I even got sunburned, you know, things like
Right.
that. I'm like, here we go.
So
I
what
can't
has
even
to
afford
happen
it.
is, when you're not camping on that property, the tent has to come down.
Right. Now, you mean to just like drop to the ground or be
Yes.
folded up and rolled up?
Drop
or-
it to the ground, probably roll it up, make
I
it
think
nice
it'd
and
be
neat.
yeah, it'd be recommended to have it rolled up. I'm sure if you dropped it, obviously, you're not gonna be able to easily be living it at anything like that.
Well, that's the thing, the tent is only been out for like a week and a half at the most. So I'm like, you know, this guy just, he's pushing everybody he can.
So, you know, drop it to the ground, roll it up, put it away, safe, neat, and secure.
Okay.
So, yes, you certainly can have your buddies over, camp out there, but just drop the tent when you're not there and put it away.
And like I said, one of my biggest complaints was there's 4 Rottweilers that's down through there, and they complain about a tent. What is a tent versus
Yeah,
a big
we got no
house?
complaints
You mean-
about the dogs. They're,
Well, that's what I'm saying, the dog should be a bigger nuisance than a
well,
tent.
they're not barking.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got no barking dog complaints.
No.
You know, the Humane Society has said they're well fed, they're in good shape, they're healthy. So the property, first of all, needs picked up, cleaned, and
Well, over 90% of it's cleaned up now.
yes, and the tent, when you're not there, needs to come down. Otherwise, it looks like it's your living structure.
Well, and again, that's why I was trying, like I said, I got frustrated with you yesterday.
I got frustrated with you too.
I'm not your hun. I'm not your hun. That's the next message, I'm not your hun. But with me being, having my dogs there every single day, now I do got, like my lad, I do construction. And the house on 4400, I built that whole big garage back there. And then I built 3/4 of the other house that's right there. So that was our family home. So now when this guy, he went through the tires out in the front yard, he's like, hey, it's your stuff, take it, you know? But I do got my ladders up against the woods right there.
It's
and
fine,
just
if
things like
they're
that.
neatly
Right.
stacked and it's usable material,
Yep.
you're okay.
And then, like I said, I do siding, construction, this and that. So if I do, like I'm working on a siding job right now, it's all aluminum. So if I take it all off, and somebody throws it in a truck, takes my property and dumps it off, it's not there very long. But when you guys drive, I see it, it's like, oh my God, what is this? So you're always gonna see rotating junk, basically. But my dog, she got into the cans, and then she ripped them open, and then when the flood come, you know, it's a disaster. But I didn't know what to do about this guy, Jerry France. I mean, he's just.
Well, what we can tell you is just keep whatever's on that property nice, neat, organized. Take the tent down when you're not in there.
What can I do about the mailbox being here intentionally? Because the kid's like, well, I mean, they're
federal.
That's a federal
That's
offense.
messing
What
with
they call
the.
You'd have to call the post office.
and he's going through my mailbox because, you know, I lived there all the years, and.
And then I guess after the meeting, I'd have you talk with one of our,
Okay.
Well, the post office,
with one of our
where you used to live, the
guys in
box?
the back.
What's that?
Is that, I mean, you talk about the post office blocks to the house that you used to live in, that he owns.
Well, it was, okay, like this would be the whole entire yard. Well, this would be the driveway. The mailbox was right here. When they come across, I
That
have
post office box to the house that you were living in, land contract you got evicted from?
No, it was for 44.
All right, so we're talking about a different post box, office box you used when you lived in the house?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was right by the driveway. But when they come in, somehow they said they plowed it over with a big 40-foot trailer. They moved it clear over here, about 7 to 10 feet from where it was. And I asked the kid, I said, why would you move it? He goes, well, he said, I put it in the softest spot. I'm no dummy. The softest spot would have been the same hole it just came out of. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I would contact the post office.
And like I said, I've been having issues. I mean, you go out there, you'll see strings with the.
Do you have a mail delivered there? There's no house?
Because like I said, the property's under Kenneth Winter, Jr. and Senior. Senior is the front yard. That's the 4410. Junior was my brother that had lived there for 20 years. So basically, it backs all the way up to where Francis Winter in '85 had purchased a home for my father. Gave it to my dad gave it to my brother. My brother just went through a bad divorce, he threw his hands in the air and walked out. So me and my ex, we took it and was repurchasing the house back on the contract. So that's how the whole mess started.
So the vacant lot has a physical post office address?
It does.
4410.
Wow.
It's got the parcel and everything to it.
Now, I have a letter for you because you had requested all this
Yes,
information
I
from me, so I have all of that.
Right.
So, and what I have here, when it says remove the tent, it's just, you don't have to remove it.
Okay.
Just put it down and put it away.
Okay.
If you have any questions, just give me a call.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, that concludes Audit Fees. Anything under concern of trustees or fiscal officer?
Just for the record, I will be out from our next meeting, so.
I guess we can excuse me for a honeymoon.
Minor details.
I think that's it.
The public doesn't.
So Scott will be out at from the next meeting because he'll be on his honeymoon. so he'll be excused from the next meeting.
Yeah, that's an excusable act.
Yeah.
We can Skype you in.
And we won't allow it.
I think we should Skype him in.
That may not be a pretty sight.
And if we didn't allow him to go, we don't want to get his wife mad at us.
No.
So okay, there is a need for executive session.
We need approval of minutes.
Also move on the approval of the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be first.
Okay, be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to the executive session at 7:47 p.m. from this regular meeting of April 14, 2015, as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the consideration and purpose of 1A, employment of a public employer official, B, employment of a public employer official, F, compensation of a public employer official, D, discipline of a public employer official.
Do we see it? What happens after 40% over there? Want me to read it?
No, I got it.
Sorry.
3, conference with the law director and others. And they gotta have one of those. Competitive bid to prevent disclosure of information to provide competitive advantage.
No.
There it is.
Yep. Anthony, you ready? 1A, B, and F? 3 and 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second.
That's what I get for not having my five up with me tonight.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Randomly drug tested, is this
Yes.
a new policy or
No,
are
all
there
of
comments?
these CDL license guys in the road
I was reading
department,
at these things.
Those are the ones I was
they
going to
already
guess.
are.
Right.
I should have just run them all off.
I have.
Hey, Rob.